Hello, everyone. We are back. Another episode in the Design Lounge. This is the community series, which we're super excited to talk about this. And the guest I have on today, this is a duo. Usually we have, one guest. This time we're talking to two individuals, both from Synthesis Design. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves, little people that don't know who you are.
Yeah, it's great. Hey, Brandon. Great to be here. My name is Kurt. I'm a principal at Synthesis Design. We're a residential design firm in Vancouver, Canada. And as of late, last little while, we've been working on just innovative housing. We design custom homes, but looking at innovative housing and what we can do to help solve the housing crisis with smaller dwellings that can keep people in the community.
Yeah, and I'm Brad. I've been with Synthesis for 10 years. I'm the senior design manager here. I'm sort of heading up the ModCube series of laneway homes that we've been working on.
Yeah, I saw that 2015 you started. So happy 10 years anniversary.
Yeah, this year actually, in September.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Well, okay, this is again the community series, and that's kind of where I want to start. But I want to start with your guys' internal community, your team. And one thing I noticed as I was going through doing research, which is again, that's my funnest part of the job, honestly, is finding out all these details about these different brands and entities. But I noticed you guys were unique in the fact that you listed your team's area of expertise as far as where they study. And it was actually diverse. It wasn't all interior design or architecture, but it was diverse. You showcased that. And even I believe there was an interview where it mentioned like a business of degrees. Why is that important in listing their backgrounds in education? I'm sure it has to do with the diversity of ideas, and I want to get to that a little bit later. But what was that important to kind of lean into that and showcase what your backgrounds is of all your employees?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And you're right, it is about diversity and team. Everybody talks about team. Obviously, important to have a good team. We're in a creative environment. We're in a creative business. And part of my job is to make sure that we create an environment that's conducive to creativity and having all the different backgrounds. And you're right, it's so incredibly varied. We wouldn't hire somebody necessarily just based on their education, where they come from, or what their background is. But the way it's turned out, it's been very organic. And we have just different expertises in both residential design, interior design. Also, our administrators, our marketing team, the administrative team, often will have crits where we have put projects up on the wall just to get people's opinions. We don't just seek the designers and the interior designers' opinions. We seek real people as well. Tessa is our marketer. She's in her 20s. Well, what kind of space would you like to live in? What do you want to look for? So we really appreciate that openness, and I think it makes us much more creative as a team.
Yeah, no, totally. I saw one of the employees, I think they had a psychology background.
Yeah.
And you mentioned crit, and I want to kind of go into that as well because I think that kind of lends well to again what you're talking about. For those who don't know, explain what that is. I know you guys mentioned like you bring ideas from everyone, right? It's not just design focuses on design. It's not just marketing focuses on marketing. It's not just architecture focuses on architecture. It seems like it's a collaborative effort around everyone. To the point where he said, any idea, we'll discuss it. It might not be executed upon, but any idea and from any source, even probably more important, it is up for debate and up for discussion and up for, kind of critical thinking. So can you explain what that is and kind of how you guys, is that something you've always done? Like, can you explain crit in more details for those that don't know?
I think crits are kind of a fun way for us to explore different ideas. Projects can be designed in so many different ways. So we have a wall in our conference room here, and we throw everything up on the wall, and we invite everybody in the office in, to Kurt's point, even sometimes the administrators, and just to get different opinions on how spaces are working and how things are looking. And you started, and we learned that in school in our Masters of Architecture programs. You just get used to doing those kind of. Sometimes those meetings can go really great. Sometimes it's very harsh, but those are ways that we really find out where the issues are, and sometimes what's working well. What's not.
So nothing is conventional. We don't get a specific piece of paper, or we'll still hand sketch it all on tracing papers. Really, anything is up for grabs. And Brad mentions that they are fun, but they can be harsh as well. In the office, can call it crit at any time for whatever reason. It could be as simple as, I'm not sure what roof form makes the most sense. Can you guys, what do you think about the form? Do you like this toilet? It could be, what about the orientation? So it could be just about, so whoever holds the crit can guide it any way they like.
Okay.
One or two things happen. For the person that's holding the crit, either he or she's going to get some great ideas. Haven't thought about that. That's a different perspective. Great. Let's incorporate that. Or I'm clearly the best. These guys don't have any good ideas. So now I feel more empowered, more comfortable that I have the best idea. So either way, it's great for the clients. And those of us that aren't holding the crit, it's fun because, as Brad mentioned, we love to criticize, not in a negative way, but just
Yeah.
so then there's no pressure to probably do that too. So again, it's a great way to build a team on both sides.
No, totally. I mean, it seems like it's an amazing way to, spark creativity, right? Because sometimes we're too close to it, right? The ones that are the so-called experts, like we're in the weeds and we're so close to it, it's hard for us to see it from a new lens. And when you have someone that might not have the same level of background, they ask questions because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know, but yet their question is what enables and elicits more creativity because we're like, oh man, you know what? Like I'm too close to actually look at it like that. But that is an amazing idea. And how can we implement that maybe in a new way? I know you guys launched in 1992, I believe. So it's been 30 plus years. But I know the actual residential side really focused on the last 25 to 30 years. What were you doing prior? And was it a pivot or more of a more focus on the residential side?
Yeah, it was a pivot. And you can tell 1992 over you 5 years old. My crowd isn't with us right now. So the idea really was based on the North Shore. It was for us to focus on additions and renovations. A lot of the North Shores were from North and West Vancouver. Houses were built in the 50s and 60s. People had raised their 2 kids quite happily in a 1,200, 1,500 square foot house with 1 bathroom. It can work. People do that.
Yeah.
We realized these buildings were going to be ready to be renovated, and it was really quite an untapped market back then. Designers, architects wanted to build new all the time, but we knew that was a highly competitive market and really involved a lot more of our creativity. And really we're not an ego-driven firm at all, and we had to really back away our egos because if we're renovating somebody's house, we didn't design it initially. But when it's done, one of 2 things has to happen. We have to completely transform it and make it look completely different, or it needs to look like no addition has ever been done in the house. So again,
Gotcha.
we're not paying homage to ourselves directly. We're paying homage to the client and the house, and that's usually what brings about a successful renovation or addition. And then through that, the building codes have changed. Our houses, the way we build and design houses is completely different than 30 years ago. So it was a pivot, but it was more of a gradual change from being able to renovate houses quite easily to then now reaching that tipping point more quickly than we would like, having to tear down more houses and then building new, much more super energy efficient. So that's how it's transformed over the years.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I like I said, I was doing my research and looking at you guys, and you guys are, an award-winning custom home entity, right? Finalists, won awards, custom homes, substantial homes. And then you have ModCube, which is like a version, like as you said, a laneway home. How did that come about? And for those people that aren't familiar, we have a lot of guests, obviously, in Canada, but also in the States and other areas. What is a laneway home and what is ModCube? And why do you guys have, which seems on opposite ends of the spectrums within your portfolio, you're doing 2 different, you're doing 2 different things.
Yeah, I think we call them there's so many names for them. There are laneways here, garden suites, coach houses. I think in most of the states they call them ADUs. The municipalities started noticing that we were needing more housing typologies, and especially for single family lots, they realized there's this space in the backyard. Actually, we could build a small house back there just to help with the housing crisis and give more housing options for people. So we saw that was becoming more and more available. So we thought, well, why don't we just have some ready-made designs that in a catalog that people could choose from, and just to sort of open people's eyes to what could be possible for these small homes. And then over time, we've just been adding to that catalog. And what's great about that is people can go on our website and take a look at the floor plans, take a look at the designs, and they can manipulate them with us based on whatever their lifestyle is. We just wanted to give people that sort of flexibility.
Awesome. So that's what I wanted to ask you about as far as the ModCube. It almost seems like that name in itself is a rebrand. When people think of laneway homes, they think of small, not customizable. And that's almost the exact opposite of what you guys are doing. As far as the size and the customization aspect of it, was that intentional? Was that actually a rebrand part of it? And also, was that like absolutely you guys feel like you have to overcome? Because it seems like you guys, your vision for it is different, radically different than what people would know it to be.
Yeah, I think, the name ModCube kind of came about because we were trying to think about ways that we could make an easily modifiable small building that people could come to us, see our website, see our designs, and then we can manipulate. Most of the areas that are available on the rear of a lot, for example, ended up being kind of square. So our designs ended up kind of looking like a cube. So that's kind of where the cube in ModCube came from. And then obviously mod was the modifiable aspect of it. But we were also looking at it from a modifiable design, but also modular building, which is what we really wanted to get to in the future, was to do prefab factory production and also, or fully modular, which meaning the entire unit is constructed inside and out and brought to the site and placed on the foundation. That's kind of where the name came from, and that was our goal with these pre-designs. And the idea was that these designs wouldn't be necessarily changed hugely by people. They can manipulate the floor plan and the square footages, but then at least then we're already kind of through the design phase very quickly versus starting from scratch.
Yeah, that's where we're at now, which is interesting. When we started, a funny thing happened when we started. So we realized, and this really came about due to lack of this type of housing in the marketplace. We had designed hundreds of houses, Brandon, so we knew houses.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to do. We're going to design. We're a custom firm, so everything we do is different, unique. There's no scalability to it, and no repetition for sure, which we like because we're creative. But we thought, listen, we know exactly what everybody wants. We've designed hundreds of houses, so we're going to design the perfect floor plan. And everyone's going to look at this floor plan, and they're just going to look at it and go, I'll take that. And then a funny thing happened because every single time we did one, somebody wants to customize it. They want to personalize it. So we thought, here we try to create this one thing that we could just keep churning out over and over again because it was perfect. It wasn't perfect, Brandon. It wasn't perfect.
It never is, right? It never is.
No, and then so they wanted to personalize it. So then we thought, okay, you know what? We can do this. I mean, not only can we do this, this is what we do. We're a custom firm. So we love that. That's where we had it. It used to just be ModCube. And then we thought, okay, well, now we've got Mod B. Now we got Mod A, Mod C. So that's how some of these have morphed. We'll customize something. People then love to take ownership of it. So rather than looking at a blank piece of paper and then having us design something, they can start with something and then tell us what they want. We can easily change and manipulate it. Now it becomes their personal one. So anyone that we think may be marketable to other demographics as well, we will then just include that into our line. They don't get credit for it, but we include it into our line. And I think we're up to Mod F or G now. So that's the way that's morphed. It really was not what we had started out doing, but that's where we're at now. And we're happy with it.
Yeah, no, actually I want to talk about that because I just mentioned earlier, as I mentioned, like you guys are an award-winning custom home builder, right? And so you don't think of you guys necessarily maybe making these small modular homes, and yet it sounds like you guys are perfectly positioned to do this, right? So kind of, I want to talk about how that background and what you guys were doing before, how that almost made it, that was the gateway for you guys to create these homes. Obviously, you to have the housing crisis that you have and other factors. But it seems like, we're in a roundabout way, like you guys are perfectly suited to do this. Not only you're experiencing building homes, but also you're experiencing building custom homes.
Yeah, and, overnight success, things take forever sometimes to happen. The name of our firm is Synthesis Design. I called it Synthesis Design back in 1992, which was the combining of elements to create a unified whole. I wanted to create that modular, prefabricated firm. They did it in Scandinavia 100 years ago. The Sears catalog 100 years ago. You had these catalog homes. I wanted to do that. We were nowhere near ready.
I was going to ask you, where you guys are at in that timeline, but not only that, what is the percentage breakdown from when, homes that you guys do, ModCube, maybe as far as effort or focus versus your custom home builds? Is it 80-20? Is it 90-10? And depending on where it is, where are you guys looking for it to go?
Yeah, where do you think?
Well, geez, I don't know if I've ever thought about it like that, actually, breaking it down how many we do, but we're probably 70-30 maybe, I don't know, towards the custom home side of things.
Yeah, I think a week doesn't go by where we don't get 5 or 6 calls on a ModCube, and from all over the place. It's fun, Kentucky and the States, we're all over the place. So we are getting more and more. That's definitely the direction that we want to go and the direction that we're going. Because again, for us, it's about being innovative, creating innovative housing, and we'd love to have a ModCube on in every back lane. I mean, what it does is it does. You chatted earlier about community. It creates community. In parts of Vancouver and parts of other major cities in the United States as well. We're on grid cities. You've got a street, you've got a house, and then you've got a back lane. Well, those back lanes are often filled with old, crummy garages and spare tires, and rusted swing sets from your kids from 20 years ago. Well,
Yeah.
now we're creating vibrant communities there. In fact, some streets in the city of Vancouver are actually naming their lanes now. So now we've got ModCubes all along the back lanes, facing the lane, kids riding up and down their tricycles, and it's a whole other set of community without having to have any urban sprawls. That's really the direction that we want to see happen. We're not there yet, but we're hopeful, and we're going to keep trying.
Well, and it opens up the market a bit to people who maybe don't want to live in a condo. I mean, I would say the condo market here is so hot that it's so that even just buy a condo. But if you have a family member or if your parents own a house, you can build, for less than the cost of a fancy condo, a full sort of small single-family house in the backyard. And then now your kids and the grandkids can move in the backyard and be close to family.
Yeah, I know. I think I saw they're up to 1,000 square feet, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. Full-on kitchen and living area. And so these are actually I think we call them casitas, but they're like full-on houses. And obviously, how much are you guys seeing as far as people living as a primary residence versus rentals? Because I know that's another thing that everywhere, right? Housing issues is not having the actual rental capacity as we need it, or rental costs being so high that people can't afford to rent or buy. I know that's what we see here in Arizona. What does that look like as far as rentals versus primary living?
It's everything, and that's interesting to us because we're planners. We try to predict things, predict demographics. This is young person's ModCube. This is an older person's ModCube. But there's so many different levels, and people are so creative now, and they have their own ideas as to what they want to happen. We're in an aging population. You guys are both really young. I'm old, right? I mean, and Brad wasn't by 2030. I think in Canada, 65% of the population is going to be more than 60. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So what's happening? And guess who can't afford houses, Brandon? Young people. Guess who can afford houses? Older people that already have houses. So parents want to be able to help their kids stay in the community. We don't want our kids to live 100 miles away. We want them to be there because we want to grandparent our kids as well. So people they may not have $1 million cash, they have backyards. So now we have a lot of clients saying, I tell you what, kids, we're going to give you this backyard space. You go ahead and pay for the ModCube or a duplex or whatever we're doing back there, but we'll give you the land. So it's a great legacy as well. So people, and then we've had some clients say, well, listen, I got my old house here from 1950s. This ModCube is pretty cool. I want it. Pay for it. I'll live there. So now we have couples that are older, maybe want to travel a little bit more, so they're in the ModCube, and then sometimes their kids are in the house. Sometimes they rent it out. People are thinking about caregivers now. I'd like to have a ModCube so I can have a caregiver there so that I can stay in our place longer as well. So, university students, revenue. Houses are expensive. Some people are building them just to rent out so that they can actually stay in their house longer. So you name it, and there's a demographic for it.
Well, and you mentioned the square footage, and every municipality is different. I mean, when we designed these back in 2018, when we first started working on them, they were still kind of just fairly new, and the cities were scared about allowing too much square footage back there. And so our largest one was 1,000 square feet, but a lot of the municipalities are really relaxing that now, and some of them are up to 1,400 square feet now.
Okay.
So we're really becoming, and it's really exciting for us because it's just opening the opportunity more for people who thought, I can't live in 1,000 square feet, I need a little bit more. So that 1,400 is really a nice sweet spot, I think.
No, I want to remember when I did Street of Dreams in Oregon, we had one of the first years they started having, this was pre-COVID, the tiny homes. And it was we have this tour of these amazing homes, and then we actually had a little aspect that was showing the tiny homes. And of course those were, 200 square feet, 150 square feet. But it's interesting to see how it's going, and it seemed like essentially what I'm hearing you guys say is this is changing community. What is it? What community means? Not only the communities within the communities, but what it means to have your family all there and close, as opposed to what you said resonated with me. It's for young people, you can't afford to live in the city, even though maybe your lifestyle would dictate for you that you want to live in the city, but you can't afford to. So you're either renting, but you aren't generating any equity or any financial, benefit, or you're moving out in the suburbs, which is, just going to be building up over the next few years. So you're changing community. I know I mentioned earlier, Curtis, you went to UO, University of Oregon. It seems like community housing issues It's not just in Canada. It's not just in BC. It's all over. Is this for you guys a proof of concept to then expand and take into other markets? Or what is your idea as far as that?
Yeah, let's do it. We're hoping that this conversation with you is going to allow us to branch into. Yeah, no, absolutely. In fact, that's the beautiful thing about prefabrication. It's like, we should design our houses and build our houses the way we build cars. They go through a factory, you want to buy a car, you can pick the color, you can pick maybe the engine, you can pick all the trims, but then it comes out. So it becomes very scalable at that point. We can provide ModCube to anywhere in the world, really, in a variety of different ways. You want the floor plan? You got a building, you want the floor plans? Great, buy the floor plans. You want us to create flat pack houses, which we do, get all the walls, put it on a trailer and shoot it off to Arizona? Yeah, we'll be there next week. We can do all of that. Or if you have a prefab company in your local area, we research up and down the western seaboard for sure, but also other parts of the United States and Canada as well. Let's do that. So we can set it up in a way that every factory tends to have their own little nuances, their own system. Let us know your kit of parts. We can customize it. We'll make sure that ours works for you. Because what we don't want to do is, fit a square ModCube into a round hole. We want to make sure that it actually makes sense. So it makes ModCube unbelievably scalable. And we'd love nothing more to see, one in Hawaii. We go visit. Anywhere, really.
Yeah. Now if you do that, and if it, because of this video, and like those new homeowners, I'm going to need a percentage. And it can be very small. It can be 1 or 2%, 0.5%. But I'm going to want a percentage of sharing that and making that popularized. I know.
That's good. After we've been working on it for 10 years, and then, you got it, Brandon. It's a deal.
Exactly. Market a little bit of it. I know your vision is having 1 or 2 of these in each neighborhood. What is next? What is next for ModCube? What is next for Synthesis Design? What else are you guys working on? What can we expect to see in the next, I would say, 5 years?
Yeah, well, I think as far as ModCube goes, I think we're just going to keep trying to get more factory-built models. Keep exploring modular. I think, like Kurt mentioned, they're still not quite there yet. There's a lot. The housing has gotten the construction has gotten so complicated now, like just with the energy codes and all that kind of stuff. They're not as easy to build as they used to be. There's just a lot more going on. So a lot of those factories still have a little bit to figure out. So we're going to keep pursuing that and working with different companies to see what we can do there. I don't know if you want to talk about
push. I mean, it makes so much sense. We often say that the firefighters that fight our fires, they don't live in our community. The policemen, the teachers, they don't live in our community. If we want to have community, people need to live in the community. So the more interest people show, the more people talk to their local municipalities, if they're not there yet, the easier it is for us. Honestly, we've been doing what we call multi-generational, intergenerational housing for 15, 20 years. And that was when, mom and dad buy a little house, that 1,500 square foot house we referred to earlier with 1 bathroom. Then they have kids, the kids can't afford it. So now we're trying to create suites. But what happens is mom and dad, who have worked their whole lives, now go in the basement with a little tiny window, and then the kids move upstairs because they have kids. Well, that's such an old approach. So our approach is much more, in keeping with the demographics of today. So, for us to be able to do that and just, the more people push, the more we're able to push these out, which means the market gets better. Even some of the factories are going, this is a great idea. Do you want to order 100? I'd love to. All I need right now is 1. Right?
Yeah.
So we're sort of in that process where we're finding people that can actually make it scalable, and we can sell multiples. It's gonna make it so much more affordable. And then I think at that point, it'll probably be the day after I retire, then it's just gonna take off. And it's gonna that's what we want. That's what we need.
Well, and the other thing too is we're really trying to push the municipalities, all the different, like in Vancouver here, there's 4 or 5 different municipalities we work with, and we always are trying to push them to either create catalogs that there's other cities, I think was it San Jose and some other LA have catalogs of right on the city website. You can go to the laneway or the ADU section, and you can see a bunch of pre-approved plans that have already gone through that review process with the city. So that the idea there is that then you say, I like that one. You can contact the designer. They can manipulate it as needed. But the idea is that it's been already reviewed by city staff. So it's supposed to speed up the process, because these permitting and all that can really drag on for a long time. So we're really trying to push the municipalities to adopt that kind of way of thinking, to speed up permitting, to have less requirements. Some of the requirements are outrageous that they ask for. So, and you end up spending like $100,000 before you build anything. So the idea is that we speed these up and reduce the cost.
Yeah, love that. Love that. I mean, I love that fact we're having this conversation. I mean, there's so many things that need to be talked about when it comes to community, sustaining community, building community, affordable housing. And I'm glad we were able to put a highlight on it and just meet you guys and find out more. Hopefully I'll be able to make it up to the IDS. I don't know if I can share it next year. I know you guys are going to be a part of that and share more, but thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. If we can't get any more of these areas in Arizona, I know we need it. We need affordable housing down here. I'll let you guys know.
That's awesome, Red. Yeah, it's been really great chatting with you. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. You guys have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
All right, bye-bye.